of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze is sponsored by Cole Obarts Entertainment, providing amusement, celebration, and distraction since 2013. To find out more, visit us on the web at www.coleobartsent.com.
Welcome back to Desertwood Days. Our next guest, he's an amazing guy. He's an author and he's also the co-owner of Grassroots Bookstore. Let's welcome Mr. Tremikus Muhammad. Hello there.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. Such a pleasure to have you. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Muhammad.
Yes, ma'am.
So how's it going?
Going well.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Such a pleasure.
Going even better because I'm here.
So where are you originally from?
Flint, Michigan.
Okay.
So born and raised in Flint, Michigan. Shout out to all my Flint, Michigan family.
Okay.
Most of my life.
Okay.
And then, of course, I moved here to Phoenix with my family. So
Okay.
we're all here now.
How long have you been here in Phoenix?
We moved here in 2011.
Okay.
So we've been here, 10 or 12 years that we've been here in the
Right.
city. So
Wow.
been
Well,
interesting.
welcome.
Thank you.
So I like to start off. You're a co-owner of Grassroots Bookstore,
Yes, ma'am.
and I've heard great things about Grassroots Bookstore. I visited there once, not for the bookstore, but it was for an event because I know you guys also have events
Yes,
and
we
such
do.
there.
Yes, we do.
Tell us a little bit about Grassroots.
So Grassroots Bookstore, we opened about 4 years ago. Interesting thing that as soon as we opened, the pandemic happened, right? So for that year we were shut down, but we were lucky because a lot of business didn't survive. But we survived. And what we opened Grassroots Bookstore for, one thing, it's a bookstore.
Yeah.
But more so for us, your experience, right? It's a place for community to come. We wanted to have a place where the Black community could come and feel comfortable, being who we are, expressing ourselves the way we express ourselves, and really deal with some of the issues that are facing our community and literacy and so on and so forth. So Grassroots is that kind of space. It's for many people, it's a home away from home.
Okay.
So we got titles that you can't find in most places, and then we make it a home for local authors as well.
Okay.
So a lot of the authors, like myself, who are here locally, who are writing books, Grassroots Bookstore is their home. And of course, we got the cafe, we got the baked goods, and the juices and smoothies. So part of Grassroots Bookstore is the Phoenix LLC. That's part of the ownership. And we do grassroots work in the community. Everything from teaching the community how to grow food to financial education, right? So we cover the gambit of what our community is looking for and what our community is trying to do. So grassroots work, grassroots people, Grassroots Bookstore.
I love that. I love that. You guys, it's like a one-stop shop place. You can do it all right there. And I did and I'm bringing this up for a reason. I did an interview on I don't want to say the name of the show wrong. It's the Hip Historian. And I spoke about Arizona and my history here in Arizona. And a part of that talk was about how when the African Americans came here, they settled south of Van Buren.
That's right.
And so that's the perfect place for Grassroots to be, right there on Jefferson.
Yep, Jefferson.
Right on Jefferson.
Between Jefferson and Washington.
Yes. So that's the perfect place because that's history right there.
Right in East Lake Park. Yes, ma'am.
And that's what I spoke about a lot, about East Lake and the Black Theater Troupe and things like that. So you guys are along that road where there's so much history on Jefferson. You know, a lot of people don't realize that. Yeah. How much history is on one street.
Yes. You got Pilgrim Rest, you got First Institutional Baptist Church, you got Tanner, so you got East Lake Park itself. This is where Dr. King and others organized. There's a lot that happened in the area.
There's a lot that happened on that one street. And and a lot of people don't realize. But one thing I love is that we've kept it intact.
Yes.
And you know, a lot of times, and it happens here in Arizona all the time, that they come and they tear things down. And I love that we've kept a lot of things down there intact. It's like the Arizona Museum, children, it is now the Children's Museum. But that is a perfect place for the Grassroots Bookstore to be.
Yeah.
And how do you guys get the word out to the community that you're there and you're doing all these things?
A lot of what we do is through social media, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this modern times, a lot of what we do is through social media, but also word of mouth, right? Um, we like to say that Grassroots Bookstore, which is housed in AfriSoul Marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
is the heart of Black Phoenix. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the activities that go on touch the community as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So word of mouth, people learn about who we are, and
Right.
because we're active in the community, it's not we don't just have reputation as being a bookstore. We
Mm-hmm.
have a reputation of being people who give back to the community that
Right.
serves us, right?
Right.
So, social media, word of mouth, some of the major things that we do. And then, of course, talking about it on shows like yours.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is wonderful. And you see, that's a lot of information that I didn't know about Grassroots. I mean, like I told you, I had only been there once, and that was for an event that was taking place there. So, what is the plan for Grassroots? Is there any growth? Say, like in the next 5 years, what do you guys plan for growth?
So it's always our plan is always expansion,
Mm-hmm.
right? One of our major focuses have been in the last several months really getting our cafe up and running with our coffees, our smoothies that we talked about, that I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
earlier. Really getting that aspect of the business up and running because sometimes books just aren't enough, right?
Right.
But we also want to make it where when you come to the store, you have a reason to stay to the store. There's one
Mm-hmm.
stop shop, right? Pretty soon, we're going to be adding food into our cafe, so you'll be able to get a light meal, right, along with
Mm-hmm.
your coffee, your cookies,
Mm-hmm.
baked goods.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we want to look at Grassroots expanding beyond just the one location, which
Uh-huh.
is really important for us because it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. It's a good thing that we are the only black bookstore in the state of Arizona, but it's also a bad thing, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not something that we celebrate in that sense
Mm-hmm.
because we want to have more of our community to have access to these type of environments that we
Mm-hmm.
created Grassroots Bookstore. So we want to expand, right? We
Uh-huh.
hope to have a store in Tucson one day. We can
Right.
have a store in Flagstaff and continue to expand throughout
Right.
this region.
Right. 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 So, I don't want to ask this question also. Okay, we were talking about the smoothies and the drinks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you also m- mentioned that you're teaching them how to grow the community, how to grow their own vegetable, fruits,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
are you guys utilizing those fruits and vegetables in the shakes?
That's the plan.
Okay.
That's the plan. We haven't got to that point yet.
Okay.
That's done through the Phoenix LOC Ministry of Agriculture. So we've had we just got done planting.
Okay.
So hopefully this next harvest season we'll be able to take some of what we've grown in our garden
Oh,
and have that
oh.
inside of
So
the cafe.
is the garden close by that area?
So we garden at spaces of opportunity. So it's probably about 10, 15 minutes away.
Okay, not so
But
far.
it's not too far, right? It's still in South Phoenix in that general area. So, yes.
Okay.
Yes, space
So if
opportunity.
someone wanted to be a part of that, what do they, how do they get in contact with you? If they want to be a part of the gardening and learning about what you guys do over there at Grassroots?
So they would go, so it's two ways. One, of course, our website, grassrootsbookstore.com. And in grassrootsbookstore.com, you'll see all our events, what we have on. But also, you will see a link to the website
Okay.
for the Phoenix LOC, which is
Oh,
thephxloc.org. So
oh,
that's on our website. You can go on our website. You can choose whether or not you want to join the organization, whether or not you want to be a volunteer in the organization, or you can also sign up with Grassroots for our newsletter. So you'll know
mm,
all of the events, everything that we have going on, and we invite the community out to be a part.
okay. So do you guys select the types of books that you're going to have in your bookstore?
We do.
You
We
do.
do. What we look at is two things. One, we look at what's in demand for our customers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So customers come in and say, "Do you have this book?" And we go for that. But then there are other books that we look at that may not generally be readily available, right? That are I don't want to call them fringe books, but there are a lot of books and a lot of learning, particularly dealing with the knowledge of Black people and who we are, that are not available as widespread as they should be. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of our selection is based on that, right?
Okay.
And then, of course, the last part of that is the local authors.
Mm-hmm.
We're big on making sure that we give a place for local authors because sometimes it's
Okay.
hard for people when they are getting started to get into places where they can
That
sell
is
their
true.
books. Right.
That is true.
So,
Very true. Um, it's pretty much serving the black and the brown community.
Yes. Yes.
But you also mentioned that you serve the served also.
Underserved. So, and if there's an author that has a book that's a good fit for our store, then we welcome them to submit. Let us know, and there's a process for that on our website. They submit, they let us know what they want to put in the store. We'll look at it, and if it fits, we'll put it in our store.
That is awesome. That's awesome to know. Also, you're also an author yourself.
I am.
Let's talk about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you have a new book?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And what's the name of it?
It is Push On Through Struggle. Okay. So this is a book that I wrote and published here a few months ago.
Okay.
And it's been doing very well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Tell me a little bit about Push On Through Struggle.
So this book started out as more of a journal, right? I was dealing with some health issues, and sometimes we get the diagnosis, different sicknesses that we're dealing with, and they're life changing. Right. Being a father, wife, and the father of 5 sons, being the breadwinner of my family, being put in a position where I may not be able to take care of my family. Right. I needed a way to work through it. So I started journaling my journey every day. This is what I dealt with today. This is what it made me feel like, and this is how I overcame. Right. And I did that for 2 reasons. One was to journal it, right, for myself. Right. The other reason was I did understand that at some point that it would help others. Right. So that's been a long journey, and it finally turned into this book. So
I love that. Yes, I love that you were vulnerable enough to do that also. Yes. And as men, I was speaking with a gentleman that I was working with this couple of days ago, and he was saying pretty much what you're saying. But you know what? As men, you guys are told to be strong and push through it, and you're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to feel what you're going through during that time, being concerned about your family.
Yes.
And that is something that I think is so beneficial for you to tell other men it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to write down your feelings.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
And it's critical. Because, and I talk about it in the book, at some point, I not only contemplated suicide, but I actually executed on my plan up to the last minute.
Wow.
Right? So, a lot of times we deal with these feelings and these thoughts internally, and we almost think it's a weakness. Right? And
because you've been told as men all your life it's a weakness.
Yeah, you don't want to show weakness.
Right.
But you have to show, because so many of us are going through the same thing.
Right.
And you never know how your story will affect other people.
That is so true.
And that's what happened. With this book, what has happened is those who have read it have had a new outlook on how to handle these situations in their lives, especially as men.
Right.
So that's kind of the history of that book in a nutshell. I think it's important that our story gets out. I think it's important that we talk to and walk through and give practical steps of how to change these situations in our lives. And then also how not to let the circumstances around you master your life and master you. How to use these circumstances to lift yourself up.
That is so true. Yeah. And what is needed is more men like yourself to talk. You guys have to talk to each other. Because you know what? Well, you guys give you guys a high five or whatever you men do.
We give each other hugs too,
And you guys, you overlook what's really going on. You see your brother's hurting, but you'll try to find other ways to overlook that, to make him happy, but it's just putting a Band-Aid over it.
Yes.
Because he still has to go home and be by himself or whatever, go home to the family that he's looking at that he can't support, or go home to that medication that the doctor just gave him. And then a lot of times he's not transparent to say, Tremikus, I'm going through this right now.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult, and what a lot of men end up doing is giving up, and that's the worst thing.
Right.
I talked to a sister who had lost her husband during the time of COVID.
Right.
But she made this point to me, I think is very critical. She said, Tremikus, when y'all leave us, you leave us with the children, you leave us having to carry the responsibility of the family, you leave us having to carry the responsibility of the community. Right. So when and I'm not just talking about suicide, I'm talking about heart disease. I'm talking about our sicknesses and our well being going down to the point where it costs us our lives in other ways, right? It's critical that we have these type of avenues to open up. If I could get other men to understand that us being vulnerable is not us being weak.
Right.
That us being supportive of one another is not some quality that makes us less than men, right? These are important qualities for us to develop because with the changing tide, with things happening in the world or where they're happening, we need each other more now than ever before.
Right.
Especially when it comes to black men, because our community is hurting now more than ever before. So we need our brothers to be strong. But sometimes you can't be strong on your own.
That's
I was
true.
talking to an individual the other day, and I was telling them about some things I was going through with my health, and they reminded me of the title of the book. They said, well, yeah, brother, push on through struggle. I said, well, I got to write another book because the other book has to be help. Because sometimes you need help.
Right, that's true. Sometimes you can't, you done pushed enough, and you don't know what else to do after that. And where do you push to?
Yes.
You're right.
Yes. So that book.
So this brother may have the answer because he may have gone through what you've gone through already.
Exactly. And it's not just, and I don't want to say that it's just for men because the principles hold true for everybody.
Right.
But from my perspective, is where I wrote it from, as a father, as a husband, right? And we need to help each other. And if you could turn a page or turn a chapter in this book and find help, and it's written, I didn't want to make it a difficult read. I didn't want to make it where you almost have to have a PhD degree to understand. I didn't want to bog people down with statistics.
You wanted them to read it.
Read it.
Right.
And it's common sense, right? And it's not rocket science. I'm not telling you anything that you never heard before, but I'm reminding you of some things, right? I'm telling you about your own internal strength. I'm telling you about your ability to tap into the power that's in you and use that power to overcome the struggles in life and to understand that it's temporary. That just as sure as you're in this period of your life, if you keep moving forward, you'll be out.
Right. And I like to also throw this because we have our audience are so many different people. You wrote this because it's who you are, your community of black men. But the gentleman that I was telling you about earlier was a white man, a friend, and you know what? This book is beneficial for all men.
All men.
Right. No matter where you come from, who you are, this book is beneficial for all men.
I have a mentor, and he said to me, Brother Tremikus, you don't have a copyright on hard times. Right? We all are going through some type of struggle in our life. Rather than turn to alcohol or drugs or some other vice, look within. Right? Find you a circle. Find you people that can help you, right? So that you can because the key to it is this: when you're alone and in the dark and by yourself, what are you holding on to? What are your own? And a lot of times we find, no matter who we are, we find that our struggle, our mental struggle, our psychological struggle, that's our greatest obstacle. Sometimes it's not the bill. Right. Sometimes it's not the argument that you had. Sometimes it's not what's happened at the job with the boss. It's how we take that and deal with it internally. Right. So let's understand that first, because if you can overcome it internally, then whatever you're dealing with out in the world becomes much more easier.
Right. And that's the problem. It's harder to take care of it on the inside.
Yes. And we like it. Many of us as men, black, white, it doesn't matter. We like to sweep these things under the rug. We like to ignore it like it's not happening. And what happens is internally for many of us it's monster bill. So then you're dealing with you that's this wonderful human being that loves life, and had all these visions and dreams at one point, but then you're dealing with this monster. And every time you go to take one step, this monster's telling you can't take it anymore, right? It's like that monkey on your back, right? So how do you get that off of you?
Well, you know what? This is a start. So where can our audience find you?
So on all platforms, social media, Brother Tremikus, right? Instagram, Facebook. Also at grassrootsbookstore.com, my book is there. You can order the book right off our website. We'll ship it right to you.
Wonderful. It was a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing Push On Through Struggle with us.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us today. And we'll catch you next time on Desert with Days.